Move and be moved by these savings right now at Team Mazda. Choose a new 25 Mazda CX-50, Mazda CX-70, or Mazda CX-90 and get low 1.9% financing. Discover the Mazda experience and save right now at Baton Rouge's Mazda dealer, Team Mazda.
He's got a piece of paper. That means some important notices.
No, I mean, I'm just keeping an eye on some road work. They've temporarily postponed some of that out in Gonzales. Highway 44 has just been crazy. From the interstate down toward the River Road, it's just a lot of construction.
That's one of the ones you always kind of show off. Welcome to the Plus, everybody, here on 9 News Now. Thanks for being with us on, again, a first alert weather day. But yeah, that's one of the spots you always show off. On a good day, it's always packed.
Yeah, it's going to be nice when they widen that, but it's a two-lane stretch of 44 right past, it's that exit you take past 30. And it's just been really a lot of construction there. A lot of construction on Highway 32 by the Tanger Mall.
Yeah, I just saw on Facebook the other day, people on their phones not paying attention. A lot of crashes has been happening along that stretch too. Please pay attention. There need to be swiping people just because you were looking down at something.
Well, I mean, the road is so narrow right there.
Yeah.
They've got the cones up and the little drop off in places.
You gotta watch out in that. Not only that, but on a day like today, wet roads, but we've got winds right now, 30 to 40 miles an hour. And I always tell people when it's a crosswind, it's enough to push you out of your lane a little bit. So you really want to keep your hands on the wheel. Even 1 or 2 seconds, that's enough to push you a little bit.
Sorry, I
we're
was
looking at that.
I was just seeing over your shoulder the lightning over False River.
But look at the pier. We'll see this in a second when it shows us that. But the pier right there, the water splashing up onto the little pier by
It's moving.
Well, Jared, earlier you were talking about some of the road conditions here, and I say this, I know we talk about it all the time, but hydroplaning, for people who are not familiar of how quickly and scary that can be, walk us through the process and what you should do when that happens.
Yeah, what you want to do is you want to decelerate. So it's better always to take your foot off the gas and just let nature do its work than slamming on the brakes. Never anything herky-jerky, kind of like when you're in the snow and the ice. Keep it real steady and lightly tap your brakes. They say that you shouldn't pump your brakes, but if you feel yourself slipping, sometimes you do need to do that a little bit. Yeah, so it's always better to stay away and give extra following distance. You don't want to be tailgating anybody today.
No, certainly not.
Well, we talked about as well, maybe leaving a little bit early if you had that opportunity. And everybody here certainly got in earlier than normal this morning, just in case. I think we are not as bad as we had prepared for, which is great. You always prepare. Man, I've told you this story 100 times, and my wife hates it. She hates me on these days. I get a little PTSD sets in, and I start to vibrate at a certain level. She says, "You're vibrating." But there is that after 2016. And so, look, man, honestly, I picked up a few things at the house off the ground level.
Yeah.
After 2016, there wasn't nothing on the ground level at our house, man. We had everything up for a couple years, right? But stuff started to matriculate back down. This was one of those days where I'm like, you know what? You can't control everything.
No.
So control what you can, and it made me feel better in the moment to do something I could do. I just picked a few things up, and I'm like, if it gets really sideways in the morning, I'll let you know, and maybe got to pick some more stuff up. I think we're going to be fine.
How is your yard this morning?
Yard's good. And look, we got some stuff in the back that's kind of like a natural creek that runs through a bunch of neighbors' houses, that kind of thing, and some ponding there. But, you know, we got a creek, a big creek, Jones Creek. That was the issue. The backwater flooding, right? Back there in our little part of the neighborhood. That's not a problem right now. It's running free, it's running clear, it's good to go, and most places are going to be like that.
I think a lot of families are dealing with that PTSD. Whenever you get a lot of rain at one time and it doesn't stop raining, if it brings you peace to pick up around you, listen, there's no need to justify that. We understand. In any case, we're always preparing for the worst and hoping for the best. And today, it is comforting to see some of that kind of deteriorate the line of storms here. Best case scenario, schools are still in session for the most part. We're going to talk about the schools that are not and that are accepting delays today. But in large part, everyone has been safe over the last 24 hours. They're listening.
Yeah, it really has been. And actually, I got a chance to talk to Dr. Steve on his way out overnight last night going into this morning, and really not as bad as it could have been. We're not done. We're not out of the woods yet, but we could have seen much more in the way of power outages. The rainfall so far not quite as bad as some of the models are suggesting, and so far no confirmation of anything tornadic. We had a warning last night around the Centerville area. I checked with the National Weather Service. They said nothing over there ever touched the ground, thank goodness, and so far so good, no damage. And now the severe threat is trending down. So now it's more of a rain event and less of a severe storm event. You guys showed some of that hail. I forget, where was that video?
Denham Springs, Walker.
Walker, yeah. Most of that looked like it was kind of pea, dime size, so not bad, but still, you never like to see hail.
No.
So it's good now that at least our focal point is just the rain and not the other stuff.
Rain and wind, maybe?
Real heavy stuff coming this afternoon? Or?
There is more heavy stuff, Johnny, but it looks like a lot of it's going to be south of the I-10 corridor. So it really does look like the graph model, which I was showing a lot yesterday. I think so far so good. It's hitting the nail on the head. The HRRR is still the aggressor. I'm going to show them both to you in a second. But here's really the thing this morning. The winds have been gusting between 30 and 40 miles per hour. No wind advisory, but again, you're going to feel that. Hold on to your hats there. We've got the flood watch in effect until 7 p.m. Thursday. So again, we're still expecting multiple rounds over the next 24 to 36 hours. Maybe if things continue to go well and they trend drier, we'll see that come to an end and be allowed to expire a little bit early. Meanwhile, we're basically right on the mark of 2.5 inches in Baton Rouge, knocking on the door of 4 inches in Lafayette. New Iberia, they're over 4 inches, and we are still counting because we've got a lot still on the radar. But this is what we like to see. We've replaced a lot of the reds and the oranges with the greens and yellows. Light to moderate rain. Still going to see a lot of lightning flashes out there. In fact, I've got the lightning tracker up, and south of Abbeville and New Iberia, that's where they've been seeing the heavy storms. So again, like the graph said, everything would shift more towards the south of the I-10 corridor. But this goes all the way back towards Corpus. Matter of fact, at the very end of this loop, watch how it comes off the coast of Corpus. It's going to be very interesting to see if this cluster right here, if that stays out to sea, or if it's going to hook up a little bit more northbound and clip our viewing area, which, by the way, I think that's why the HRRR is being so aggressive. I think that's what it thinks is going to happen. Let me start with the graph model because it's been very consistent. Look at that, showing the focal point. Here's Baton Rouge. So the farther north you go of Baton Rouge, you guys to the north, you really should be in good shape. I mean, it doesn't look too bad for you guys today. But again, we still see a couple pockets of heavy rain. Here's some good news. At the end of the day, going into the evening, the graph starts to clear things out. And even the aggressor, the HRRR, it's going to do the same thing, but it's going to take all that stuff that's in Texas right now and bring it here. So it really wants to bring it, the HRRR, around early afternoon. I don't think it's going to be quite as taxing. You see it all the way to the north in Macomb, maybe, but right now I think it's going to be farther south. But the HRRR also shows a little bit of a clearing at the end of the day. So we're going to trend in the right direction. Just got to get past this morning. Now we're down to a level 1 marginal risk for severe weather. That's also good news. The tornado watches have been dropped. And like I said, now it's more of a rain focus. But even notice right now that level 3, that moderate risk right here of excessive rain, mainly to the south of Baton Rouge. So that's some good news. There you can see the WPC. They're doing the same thing. They're starting to push their additional rainfall farther south. So if you live south of I-10, higher chance of rain today. As you go north of I-10, a lower chance of rain. And as we get late in the day, we should all start to see things taper off a little bit. Matter of fact, for the evening forecast, I've taken us right down to about a 30% chance. It's not going to be nearly as bad as it was last night into this morning. And to that end, we've taken the first alert away from Thursday. That's good news. The not so good news, I actually still have a 40% chance now for Mother's Day Sunday. Don't cancel your Mom's Day plans, but just know scattered storms are going to be expected over the next several days. 7:10, about to be 7:11. Johnny A., how are the roads in the wet weather?
Well, the roads and the weather are pretty good. We're getting back to some degree of normal. Like Matt said, kind of looking over your shoulder and you're looking out the window for the first time and going, okay, all right, it could be all right. And that's great news for everybody that, like Matt said, has a little anxiety when it gets wet. A couple of things. The Springfield-Albany crash, I-12 West, that is clear, no backups. And the wreck that they were dealing with and the vehicle they were dealing with blocking the right lane on I-10 eastbound has been taken off at the Lobdell exit. That backup is slow to get back to normal, but I think by the time you get to the Lobdell overpass coming into the Baton Rouge area, going to be fine. 10:12 to downtown. Drive times are looking good. 38 minutes from Denham Springs at 7:11 in the morning. That is not unusual, so that's about right. And like I said, folks, kind of heeding the warning, getting a little earlier start. A lot more than weather going on. Conclave starts today. Liz and Matt detail all of that next.
Real quick before you get going today, all things weather, we are following school closures. Only a couple. The new for you this morning is that Ascension Parish is accepting tardies.
So keep that in mind today, and only 2 other school districts right now saying that they are not going to be in school today. Iberville Parish School says that they are not having school today. They're asking you to keep an eye on their website, though, for any changes and updates throughout the week. St. Mary Parish schools are also closed today, but high schoolers will log on to learn virtually today. Power
outages, not a whole lot in our little part of the world. About 20,000 customers, though, statewide. The majority up there in Caddo Parish. In our part of the world, it's going to be the Feliciana, St. Helena with a couple few hundred. We'll keep an eye on that as it moves through.
Again, today is trending to be a lot better than we thought here, but in the case of a weather emergency, Insurance Commissioner Tim Temple wants you to have a plan. He wants you to take inventory of everything you have, those valuables, make sure you've got the brand name, the serial number, and have an emergency plan, a good test ahead of hurricane season.
Also, make sure you have the weather app downloaded. It's free anywhere on all the Google Play, Apple Store, all that stuff. It's a great way to keep in the know. Speaking of keeping in the know, Real ID deadline, that is today. Hopefully you have that ready to go, because if you want to travel, it makes it easier.
Also keep in mind the conclave begins today. We're keeping our eyes in Vatican City. 9:30 Central Time is when that is set to begin today. They've already done their special mass earlier. The CBS News may cut in and out of programming today, so just keep that in mind throughout the day if your program gets interrupted today.
That's why. It's about 9:30 our time. They are expected to officially begin conclave. So yeah, coverage of it.
One of the reporters on CBS last night said, yeah, every time we see smoke, we'll come back on.
Oh.
Which you said maybe only twice today.
Yeah, they'll vote a couple times a day, up to a couple times a day, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
That's it. Staying on top of a lot for you. Come back and join us in another 10 minutes. We'll check on that weather and traffic report when we come back. Stay safe out there. We'll see you soon.
Could be driving a Experience the thrill of a new Honda Accord right now from Team Honda. Named a Car and Driver's 10 Best Award winner for the 39th time. Get 2.99% financing for 60 months right now on your new Accord. At Louisiana's #1 Honda dealer, Team Honda.